Hey. Wow, people showing up earlier and earlier. I hadn't even announced the stream. Yeah, to you too, buddy. Who's that redirected at? And also, can you hear me, just to make sure? Right. Best part is that starting soon, loop that I have there. I realized the last time that I have a typo in one of the versions of it. So it takes like an hour to render the thing, and I've got to do it over again, and this wasn't the week that was gonna happen. Thank you. Yeah, somebody was remarking on Facebook that she missed having things to dress for, and I totally felt that, so I was like, fuck it. I'll just dress for the stream. It's not the pub, but it's a thing. One of very few things that I actually do at this point. Yeah. Hardly been worn. How's your week been? Mine has been characterized by overwork and eye infections, so that's been fun. In relation to what? To my knowledge, I hadn't said anything just yet. Oh, yeah. That's because I use Restream, and I'm never entirely sure whether to trust its ability to connect to everything, so I like to test it before I get started. So I just type a period. Actually a move. I mean, it's probably superfluous, but I like to be entirely certain. Wow! Like, nobody ever shows up right at the beginning of these things. I was still getting dressed at that point. I just put that on so people would know that there was something that was coming. And I still had to set up the equipment to get the cameras set up and all that shit. So, yeah. That's why I have a stream starting soon thing. Well, I happen to be offering something to watch. You can watch my scuffed Sicilian here. Okay. Der Schlendrian, guten Morgen. Oder, naja, aus meiner Sicht eher Mitternacht. Yeah, nearly everybody missed me all last week. Bloody exhausting week. I had to finish this huge, just endless translation. Whereafter, I got an eye infection, and that was fun. And now I'm sort of recovering from both of those things. So this is going to be my very chill stream. Actually, let me see. Well, I want to open up the F file, so I'm kind of cool with that. Ah, yes. Thank you for reminding me, danke fürs Erinnern. I had promised to tell a story of the one time I actually got to see Leipzig. Erica, is it good with you if I do this in German? Will you understand it, or shall I do it in English? I can do it either. I've done it both ways. My Saxon accent isn't great anyway. Okay, then I will do it in the way that the entire audience, all two of you, will understand. See, here's the deal. Best way to do this, extricate myself like that. So I was going to from Munich to Berlin to visit some friends for New Year's in 1996. And since I was skint, I used a 35 mark ticket, which at the time allowed you to travel for a whole weekend, but you could only use short distance regional commuter transport to do it. This is not the easiest way to go to Berlin. At the time it was like 8 hours usually. You can get a non-stop train and it's 8 hours from Munich to Berlin, but the way I did it, it was 26 hours. And it ended up so I ended up with a 4-hour stopover in Leipzig between midnight and 4 a.m. So this is like the one time I've ever spent any time in the town. Ah, okay, thank you, that works. GG. Okay, now I can concentrate. Yeah. I mean, if you took like the IC, yeah, the intercity at the time, I think it was about 8 hours, 6 to 8. It's a pretty long trip, even if you do it the way normal people do, but I didn't. So I end up in Leipzig at midnight, never having been to Leipzig ever, not knowing anyone within 200 kilometers of within 100 kilometers of Leipzig, and I've got no place to be, and it's freezing. And at the time, the station was creepy as fuck, because they were just beginning to sort of rebuild it. I mean, it was so recent. At the time, like, the sign still said Reichsbahn. They hadn't even gotten around to putting DB on everything. So, there was this big fucking crater, basically, in the hall with the tracks. And everything echoed very, very creepily, and this was not seeming like a great way to spend 4 hours. And I was kind of hungry because I just already changed trains like 5 times by that point. So I decided, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna stick my stuff in one of the lockers, and then I'm gonna just walk around and see what I can find at midnight in Leipzig on one December night. And I end up, oh, well, okay. First, I immediately get lost because, you know, this is before the MapQuest era. No MapQuest, nothing like that. I couldn't, you know, check anything out, so I was just completely flying just by ear. And so I'm just walking around freezing my ass off, and I see this little, like, it looks like one of those maps that they sometimes have at the city center. And so I start walking up closer to it because I'm thinking, okay, this is going to tell me where I can get a cup of coffee and maybe something to eat. And I get closer, and it's for an abstract art exhibition. It's somebody's cubist painting, I forget whose. But it should be called The Mirage. I don't know what the title was, but that's what it was. So I get up there, and I end up, just kinda, and I end up, like, swearing at that, the cubist painting for a little while. And then I just kind of look around to try to find something that's open, not even particularly caring, because I'm about to fall asleep on my feet. End up in this in this bar, and I have like an espresso or so, and in waking up I kind of realized that maybe it was not the sort of bar that I wanted to spend a huge amount of time in. So with the caffeine on board, I decided to just go and walk further and maybe try to get something to eat. So maybe 20 minutes later, I end up finding this McDonald's. And so I order some food. I mean, it was the only thing. It was Leipzig 1996. There was fuck all. So McDonald's was it. That's like my standard for eating McDonald's most of the time, really, even now. So I go and I order my food, and I have to piss. And so I'm like, so, and they locked the bathrooms up there like a fucking maximum security vault or something. And the only way you could actually use them is to ask, and then they would yell across the room that somebody needed to piss. And that was fun. That was very fun. So I take care of that, I get my food, eat, and now I'm waking up a little bit more, becoming a little more sort of situationally aware of my surroundings and stuff. And I realize that everybody in this place, and there are a fair number of people, seem to be shopping at the same store. They all have tight jeans, bomber jackets, and they also were, like, I guess, they were all victims of the same overzealous barber. Because they also had very little hair left on their heads. All just sort of a velour fuzz, and I realized, okay, where the fuck am I? Why, I'm in a McDonald's surrounded by fucking Nazis. This is where you walk away very carefully. So that ended my exploration of the Leipzig city center. I decided I would try to find my way back to the fucking station. At this point, I still have like 2.5 hours. I still have like 2.5 hours to go before I can get on the train to, well, it wasn't even to Berlin, it was to Dessau. I had to go to Dessau, and from Dessau there was another train, I forget where, some other Sachsen-Anhalt place, I think. And from there I got to train, and then from there I was catching a train to Charlottenburg. So I had like, you know, a good 6 hours of travel more to go. So, yeah. So, I find my way back to the station and decide to just kind of deal with the creepiness of the place. And it's freezing too. I mean, they didn't have heating. It was an ice box. You could preserve fucking meat in the main hall. Last for a few days, it'd be fine. So I'm just sort of standing around, and this guy just kind of comes up to me, kind of sees that, you know, with because it would have been very hard to detect this, that I was standing around with no place to go, waiting for a train in the middle of the night, and clearly didn't know the place. And he's like, "You want a cigarette?" And at the time I didn't smoke, but I said, "Yeah, but if you don't mind me warming my hands on it, I think I'll do that." So we end up talking, and it was actually cool. Looked a little dodgy, but he didn't act dodgy, at least not in my presence. And he was also headed to Berlin, it turned out, so we ended up talking. And then this woman of most impressive stature and somewhat questionable thought processes shows up. I don't know what her deal was, but she was just utterly freaking out and trying to pull me away from this guy, like just completely like, "Oh, you're threatening her, you're threatening her," like screaming, and like trying to pull me away. "You come home with me," and I'm like, Jesus Christ, yeah, I don't think so. But she was also like, she probably could have broken me in half. So, and then he goes, "Look," and he goes, "Look, I'm not threatening anybody, we're just talking." And she goes, and this is her big gotcha, she goes, "Then why is she shaking?" And at that point I finally kind of found my voice, and I'm like, "Well, I'm shaking because we're in Germany, it's December, 4 in the morning, and there's no heating, and it's fucking arschkalt. Now could you please leave us the fuck alone?" And so she looked at me like, with just this absolute contempt, like I was the worst ingrate she had ever encountered, and finally sort of fucked off, mumbling something about how you can't please some people, or something like that. And so we're talking, so that was cool. At least I had somebody to talk to. And eventually, a couple of, like, 90s vintage queer dyke punks showed up with a lot of piercings for 1996, and they were headed to Berlin too on the same train, and so we just all hung out together. But so that's my introduction to Leipzig. This is all the Leipzig I have seen. I mean, I've been back, I changed trains there like 5 or 6 years ago. So I know that the station is no longer a crater, which is kind of nice. But yeah, so I really ought to get back there to actually see what it's like, you know, when the werewolves aren't out. That is my Leipzig story. Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Connie. I have to visit him sometime when the fucking plague is over and I can actually fucking travel. Very much looking forward to that. Assuming that happens, which it's like, I try to maintain some level of belief that this thing will eventually somehow play out and end, but God, it's hard sometimes. It's just fucked up. Yes. I would love to see something of Leipzig other than the Nazis of McDonald's. I mean, I imagine there are better restaurants with a better class of Nazis, for example. And I was really, really glad that I didn't have my fucking Star of David necklace on. I had forgotten it. It was back in Erlangen. And I was really, really happy about that. Oh, okay. You're talking. I will do this. Also kind of interested in checking out Auerbach's-Keller, just because I have a certain affection for Goethe. Oh, fuck, I don't know. With better taste in food, anyway. I mean, the dead ones are a very nice class of Nazis. Like, there was that one who got stabbed a few years ago. That's the kind of Nazi that I'd like all Nazis to aspire to be. That, you know, that prick in Seattle. Yeah. It's remarkable how quickly they can metamorphose into a good fascist. If they're given the proper assistance. I have been tempered in the fire of Caleb Maupin. This is cool. Yes, indeed. Mehr kann man von denen ja auch nicht verlangen. Nur schnell sollen sie es machen. Wow. Just noticed the guy this low mega who blundered the queen was actually still 2 points of material up and still resigned. See, that's... People resign too much. Everybody is listening to that distinctly overrated advice from Queen's Gambit, Mr. Scheibel, who's like, oh, well, if you lose a queen like that, you resign. It's like, no, you fucking don't, unless you're playing fucking Magnus Carlsen or something. Then you resign. Although, actually, I wouldn't even resign then, because it would be the most instructive ass-kicking I ever got. I would want to see every move of it. But... most people you play just don't resign. They'll fuck up sooner or later. It's practically a guarantee. Exactly. I have won from much worse positions than this guy. I have won from positions where I blundered not just a queen, but a rook and a bishop, and like half of my pawns, and I still found mate. I have a whole collection of games. I'm gonna have to like do a video where I'm just where I'm just showing like my best comebacks, just for the point of don't resign too early. I mean, I blundered the shit out of a rook, and I didn't resign, because there's always a chance, and the more pieces there are on the board, the more chances. Exactly. And the thing is, when you're in a losing position, that's often when your tactical awareness is at its height. That's when you start really noticing shit, because now you have to in order to try to somehow recover. It's actually the most rewarding part of the game as far as I'm concerned. People who are resigning that early are just cheating themselves. Okay. Okay, we're in a city, and I have a feeling it's in South America just from those bins. Oh, come on, let me see the writing. Caballito, okay. South America continues to check out. Green. It's the Asociación Jubilados de la Plaza Irlanda. Okay, definitely South America now. Oh, Christ. When, yeah. God. There are a few things worse than low-flying helicopters. Ist mir in Los Angeles passiert, da fliegen die immer sehr tief, damit die Bilder dann von der Wand fallen. Arschlöcher. Da will man einfach mal in irgendwelche SAM-Batterien investieren. Plaza Irlanda de Buenos Aires. We're in Buenos Aires, one of my favorite towns. Love Buenos Aires. It's like somebody mixed Naples and Vienna somehow. It's Santiago's cool sister. I had a friend in Wales who actually went to, all the way to Heiligendamm when that was going on. Later on, she turned out to be a TERF. I don't think it was related to Heiligendamm, though. Caballito, okay, I think we are... getting there. Plaza Irlanda, Caballito. Ah, Palermo too. It's near Palermo. That's a nice part of town. Great bloody restaurants there. Okay, Plaza Irlanda de Buenos Aires. Macanudo. A ver. Acercándonos, wir nähern uns. Lanús, Caballito. Grünflächen suchen. Ja, das ist der Laue. Plaza Irlanda. Ahí está. 80 yards. See, the way I play it, if you see something on a sign, it's fair game to research it. Other people don't do it that way, and I sometimes don't do it that way if I think it's gonna make it boring because it'll just be too easy. But if I see like a company name like Asociación de Jubilados de Plaza Irlanda, of course then I'm gonna check that out because you never know. And I find as a sort of a deductive reasoning and research trainer, Geoguessr is quite useful. You start to observe all sorts of random shit. Like those bins, for example. Somehow, I've never made a note of the bins I see in different places. I mean, except in Cardiff, because the bins there are always overflowing. Like, I mean, not just a little bit either, just massively fucking overflowing with shit stacked on top of them. I mean, you can't not notice that. But somehow, I have this, like, passive memory of the bins of the world. And somehow I can very quickly, intuitively identify a region by its bins. And South America likes the rectangular metal bins that overflow very quickly and are changed maybe once every fortnight. Oh yeah, Scandinavia always has this very clear road markings and lots of evergreen. They have that dashed lines on the either side. You can always tell Scandinavia from that. Okay, I'm getting Australia vibes, except that guy was on the right side of the road. Oh hey, I just missed a sign. Okay, we're outside of North America. That's all I can really say. We're outside of the US and Canada. Because that's a metric speed limit and it's a round sign. But the round sign is basically the whole world except for the US and Canada. Japan, it's easy to tell you're in Japan, because there's only one country in the world that has signs all over the place in Japanese. But the trouble is figuring out where the hell you are in Japan, because the street names, well, the streets often have no names, and the street numbers often have no meaning. But Western Australia is an easy one. If it's slightly out of focus, way overexposed, and there's red clay everywhere, you're in Australia. Okay, we got some kind of sign. Visitor information, I wouldn't wonder. Oh, and it's way too fucking small for me to see on here. Ah, looks like information on local wildlife. And a map. Okay, but here's a useful piece of information. We got mountains nearby. And they're not in any particular order. I mean, literally, if you try to get directions in Japan, they end up being absurdly detailed. Because you can't just say, you know, go over the 3rd Street or something. You have to say, okay, there's a disposable underwear vending machine and a coffee vending machine opposite it, and if you go past there, you'll see a billboard, and you will see SMAP, for some reason, posing with a cartoon effigy of Shinzo Abe. And if you go a little bit past that, Nave agrícola municipal de Majadas. Excelentísimo ayuntamiento. I believe we are in Spain. Because I don't know anyone in Latin America who says ayuntamiento. It's always municipalidad or municipio. So I think we're looking for Majadas. Which probably in some dialect of Spanish means bullshit, because it just sounds like it should. No me cuentes majadas, güey. Getafe. Nave agrícola. ¿Qué más nos dice? ¿Dónde carajo? No, of course, this is my weakness because Spanish geography is not where I really shine. Latin American geography, yeah, I know my way around there quite well, but I've only been in Spain long enough to get robbed twice on the same day, and then get stalked by a really creepy fucker in a white Citroen. That was in a different city to where I got robbed. It was an eventful trip. Oh yeah, the mirrors, you're right. I feel like I've seen those in Germany too. Oh, also in Japan, the stop signs are triangular and they say tomare. Sinvergüenza. Sounds like a contraction of sinvergüenza. Saurejas. Guadalajara. Ocaña Aranjuez. Corral de Almaguer. Okay, Segovia. It's someplace with a bit of mountains and a lot of agriculture. That really does not narrow it down in Spain, though. Monte Hermoso. Moraleja. That's a great name, Moraleja. That's the Spanish for, like, the moral of a story. I guess Moraleja is where they send people to live if they're way too pedantic and moralizing and they're constantly trying to tell you to let things be a lesson to you. So they send them to Moraleja. Malagon. Okay. I'm just gonna guess this one because I feel like it's going to be ages before I see any further information. Let's say someplace around here. Not too bad, actually. Between Cáceres and Toledo. Only 106 miles away. Considering that was totally out of my ass, not bad. Autopostale. Autopostal? Oh. Autopostale? Ah, okay. Ah, we're in the Switzerland. And we're in the Italian bit of the Switzerland. Ah. I used to have, the last place I lived, I had these disturbing banging noises on the floor. Like, I mean, like they were administering beatings up there, except I never saw any sign of it. And occasionally, like, shouting matches in Polish. It was an interesting place. Got very strange looks when I said I ran into it. On a rare occasion, I actually ran into one of the neighbors. They were very scarce, and I said, "Cześć, jak się macie?" And they're like, "Oh, she knows Polish? Fuck. She's heard everything we've been saying. That can't be good." Just sort of a facial expression. Ljubljana. Hallo Schweiz. Die Schweiz, la Schweiz, oder? Okay. Diese Frisur. Davos, where people who were important to occupy claimed to be hanging out with rich people for the revolution. Scheiß drauf. Mach mal ein kurzes Südwestschweiz. "42 miles. Okay. Someplace residential, but something tells me we are not in North America. Bins don't look North American. The yards don't. Driveways beyond crest. Never seen that sign anywhere. And these walls, I feel like this must be someplace else. Of course, you can't see the bloody number plates. Yeah, left side driving. Okay, I was thinking South Africa, maybe. No, Ku-ring-gai. This is Ku-ring-gai. This is Sydney. Okay. Well, if they ever need a reminder about the music, those neighbors, just Google State Merited Chorus and play one of their fucking 2-hour concerts. They leave an impression. Okay, Sydney, there we go. Cara, Gosford. Alright. Yeah, there we go. Curing guy. Remora. Viel Spaß dabei. Thank you for showing up again. Look forward, I'll be here again, same time tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you. Miles. Okay, well, glad you stopped by. See you tomorrow. I will be here same time, same place. Red soil. Yeah, this is looking like WA. Except that car was on the wrong side of the road. Well, I do hope to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I had a very good time with this. Middle of bloody nowhere here. might have been words. Okay, that's the speed limit. Palmeiras, we're in Brazil. Brazil 226. Presents 56. Yeah, that vegetation said tropical.
빛나는 태양과 같이 땅 위에 흐르는 강물과 같이 산술이 강산에 빛을 뿌리고 인민들 가슴에 희망을 주네. 한없이 귀중한 우보니 당이요. 그대의 사랑은 따사로웠고 그대의 깃발은 찬란하여라. 우리의 투쟁의 승리를 주고 우리의 앞길에 용감을 주네. 한없이 귀중한 우보니 하리요. 한없이 귀중한 우보니 하리요.
어머니 우리 땅이 참대같이 살라면 나는야 한마음 푸른 참대 되리라. 오진 바람 불어와도 한생을 꿈김없이
559 miles away. Still not too bad. Brazil is hard.
보람찬 내 삶이 시작될 것은 고향집 어머니 그뿐이었다. 국물결 설레는 들판을 서서로 떠나던 한국길인가.
들어가자. Okay. So you're gonna push that corner, or you're gonna take it? 그저 구호대 있으랴 눈도 무섭지 않네. 그대 목소리 여기 나는 내 주부 두려움 몰라라. 모두 다 같이 Hello. Welcome to the stream. Well, I'm about to wrap up, actually. I don't know if I'm going to have time for another game today, but I'm on again tomorrow from 11:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And if you're there at that time, then we can definitely do it. But welcome anyway. It's always nice to see new people here. It's a relatively new stream. I don't even know what sort of accent I've got going on at the moment. It shifts a bit depending on where I am.
스치는 바람에도 내 진정 담아보네 바람결이 그이 곁에 잠시라도 닿을 것 같아 지러가다오 그리움의 이 마음 지러가다오 원수님 그 곁에
There we go.
사랑의 그 꿈을 떠나선 못 살아
So where are you joining us from? No, but I spent a fair bit of time in the past few years just next door to there in Wales. What part of India?
내 진정 담아보네 이 냇물 흘러 그이 계신 곳
आपको पंजाबी आती है, हाँ? मालूम है मुझे. मैं थोड़ी थोड़ी हिंदी बोलती हूँ. मोस्टली मैं इंग्लिश बोलती हूँ, पर लर्निंग तो करती हूँ फिल्मों से. Yes, my languages are always most unexpected. Yeah, I sort of expected that. Okay, GG. And with that, I must say namaskar, because we've gotten to the point where everybody here is asleep and I don't want to be the one to wake them up. But tomorrow, at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I will... well, I don't speak it that well. I can kind of get by and I can surprise people who are easily surprised by such things, but tomorrow I will be here and we can definitely get a game in tomorrow. So just join me in say 22 and a half hours. Namaskar.